Good after morning and welcome. I'm Glass Earth Games, and today we're going to look at two things inside of Vital that are really simple but very effective. And they are, well, I like to call them pulses or cinematic pulses, and you hear them a lot in sci-fi and stuff like that. And then also sweeps or, rises. Or often I like to use them as drops, so you drop them down. Anyway, we're just going to make them. We'll start with the pulses because they're probably the easiest of the two things. So we're going to take a saw wave. We'll drop it down an octave. And then what we're going to do is put the filter on. And then over here, in this LFO, we're going to load the peaks and troughs preset and just drop that onto there. And that, if we slow this down one, should give us a kind of cinematic pulse. Let's just hit it in A. So we can adjust this. So that's just it's very, very typical, right? But if you want to play with it some more, you can do a couple of things. You can bring in another oscillator of maybe an octave higher than the other one. So that kind of thickens it up. Or you can go an octave lower. And then you can do things like add a compressor, which kind of dirties it up, right? Or distortion. And you can do stuff like this, so it's very gnarly, And flanger, for example. Or a phaser. Or a slight amount of reverb. And from all this, if we just kill that one again, you can play, you might be doing something that's a bit synth wavy, so you might go and if you want to add a sort of a nice thing to it, bring glide up over here and hit always glide. Always best to keep this. I should have turned this down earlier. Bring the voices down to 1. It's going to just make things cleaner. You can't hit more than one note at a time. And legato kind of does that as well. And now with the glide, it should glide between the notes. So you end up with... Hear that nice? And of course you can accentuate that more if you want to. It gets a bit much if you turn it up too high. I find somewhere just above half is usually pretty good. Anyway, that's your basic pulse. And obviously you can do other things with them. Like if you want to go for a square in there, that gives it a kind of more of an 80s vibe, and also, of course, you can do things like you could put this on, say, saws for days and then move this onto the wavetable position, and you'll end up with all sorts of weird things going on. And, of course, you can sweep through it. So say you take this, say we get rid of that and do this, And so, of course, it's limitless what you can do. You put noise into it if you want. So that'll give it more of a kind of a drummy kind of thing. Anyway, have fun with it. It's a good one. Okay, and now we're going to do sweeps. So I'll just initialize a preset again. So this is also very, very simple. You just want a upwards LFO, and then you want this guy. I find a quad saw is pretty good, and then you drop that onto there, and then you put it through a filter, and then drop that onto there, and you should get something straight away that gives you a kind of sweep. See? So if we bring this down an octave, and we turn the timing of it down, you can hear straight away you've got something. So say you were coming into a change and you're going to come up into A, you might go, and boom, you've got to change. That's the basics of it. But of course, like everything else, you can fatten it up, and you can make this a quad saw as well, for example, and drag that onto there. Right, it's getting fatter. We might add some chorus, and we might just bring the depth down to there, but we might bring the mix of it up as it goes along. And we might add some distortion, and we might add a cutoff, and we might drag this onto both of those. And then watch what happens. It's quite brutal, isn't it? And of course, I find these, my favorite thing to do with these is to drop into it. So just, and then into your change. And of course, much like the other thing we're doing, you can play with the reverb or the phaser or the flanger, another filter even. If you want to double the filter up and dirty it up, you could do something like this. Or you could make the filter go backwards. And that way you kind of reverses on itself. I don't so much like that. That's not as much fun. But yeah, that is it, really. That's all I wanted to show you was cinematic pulses and sweeps. Hopefully that helps you in your composing or scoring or whatever it is that you do with Vital. And hopefully I'll see you next time. Good afternoon.